Welcome into another episode of Locked On Phillies, and the Phils clinch a first-round bye in one of the most impressive offensive performances you'll ever see.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We come to you as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You might know me for some of my other work in the sports talk space. I've been on air over at 97.5 The Fanatic doing sports talk radio here in Philly for over 5 years. I've been a credentialed Philadelphia Phillies media member for 4 seasons now, and this is my 4th year as the host of Locked On Phillies. And what a darn performance those Philadelphia Phillies gave us last night. They beat the Marlins 11-1. They clinch a first-round bye. They hit a franchise record 8 home runs in the game. That was absolutely wild. We got so much to break down about that game. I mean, honestly, Luzardo, Schwarber, Edmundo Sosa. What a night for so many Phillies. We're also going to discuss, because of what Kyle Schwarber did last night, do you let him go for the Phillies franchise record single season home runs? Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to, right? Or do you worry about the injuries? Well, we'll discuss that. And we'll also preview Phil's Marlins game 3. There is technically something still on the line for the Phillies with them not out of the running for the 1 seed, but it's a bit of a long shot. And we'll look at what happened around baseball in the National League playoff picture as things get sorted out. But we now know that the Phillies will be one of the top 2 seeds in the National League postseason. We also know, shockingly, the Dodgers will not have a first-round bye, and that super team, they're going to be playing in a wild card series. Now, will that be as a division winner? That's not still locked down. The Padres are still technically in it for the NL West, I believe, and we'll talk more about that. But let's talk about the Phillies last night, because they demolished the Miami Marlins. Jesus Luzardo is one of the few Phillies that played in last night's game that did not hit a home run, but he didn't even get it bat because he was pitching. And he went 7 innings, 3 hits allowed, 1 earned, struck out 10. The night after, Christopher Sanchez goes 7 innings, allows none, and only allows 3 hits, right? It was just an incredible performance by Jesus Luzardo. He set a career high in strikeouts and innings pitched, and he did it against the team that traded him away this offseason. For all those folks out there that are anti-Dave Dombrowski, he doesn't do enough to help this team win. How about that trade for Luzardo when nobody else was looking at starting pitching? Where would they be without that move? With Zach Wheeler going down? Who would be throwing for this team right now? You'd have Ranger and Sanchez. And who? It was a huge trade Dave Dombrowski made. And Jesus Luzardo, everyone worried about innings count, durability, the up and down nature of his first couple of months where he looked amazing. And then he imploded. And then he kind of fixed it. And then he kind of half imploded again. He has put together an outstanding year for the Phillies. And that was his last start of the regular season. So good confidence builder going into October. You're going to find very few starting pitchers that feel better about the way they're throwing than Christopher Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo right now. And heck, Ranger's going to get another shot at it too before the season's over. And we'll see if he follows up with another strong performance. Basically, the Phillies staff announcing, we heard you, Connor. You said that the offense is the true strength of this team right now. Nah, slow down. Slow your roll a little bit there. And, hey, they've been proving me wrong, at least the past 2 nights with the starting pitching. And then the offense just took over the headlines for this game. So credit to Otto Kemp, who hit his 8th home run of the season last night. He's been really, really good for the Phillies. He's been up and down a little bit this year between AAA and the majors, and he's fully deserving of the credit that I'm going to give him today for what he's contributed to the Major League team. As a pinch hitter in October, you could do worse if he's on the NLDS roster. We will get into roster decisions as the week progresses, and really during the whole wild card series as well will be when we really start to break down who goes where. Alec Boehm goes yard. That was nice to see, considering he's been red hot since he came back from his shoulder injury that had him on the 10-day IL. If he's this hot in October, depth is added to the Phillies lineup. And then Bryson Stott hits a 440-foot nuke off of the Miami Marlins bullpen. And that's just like, you look at it and you say, okay, he is, I brought this up before on the podcast, but if you missed this episode, you might not realize this. He's the same height as Pete Alonso, right? You think of Bryson Stott, you think second base. You're like, okay, he's not a small guy, but he's not a big guy. Like, no, he kind of gets covered a little bit by the Alec Bohm is 6'5", and that dude doesn't hit enough home runs for his like wiry frame and playing third base. Stott's a big guy too. And it was a nice reminder last night that when that dude gets one, it goes. But the funny thing is, those guys are all footnotes on the offensive night that the Phillies put together, because Kyle Schwarber hit home runs number 55 and 56 last night, and they were not cheapies. No, he hit one that only slightly got out, but he was a mile high. And then the next one, he just demolished to right field, like just absolutely smoked that baseball. I almost said a bad word there because there are very few ways to describe it. What he's doing to baseballs this year, 55 and 56. He's now 2 away from Ryan Howard's franchise record. He's hit 3 in the last 2 games. We know that they come in bunches for Schwarber. We know that his power is otherworldly. But now he's truly put himself into that space where he has a shot with 4 games remaining at the Phillies' single season home run record. Again, 58 by Ryan Howard back in 2007. Schwarber has to hit 2 home runs in the final 4 games to match Ryan Howard. And with the rate that he hits them in bunches, he could do that tonight, a 6:05 game against the Marlins, where undoubtedly he'll still be in the lineup to at least finish out the series with the 1 seed still on the table. The Phils are going to try this, but there's a balance that needs to be struck, and we're going to talk about that significantly through the rest of the episode. But there's time for more celebration, and we haven't even gotten to, in full, the guy that had the biggest impact on last night's game offensively. Now, it was a while ago, so you might not remember this. I don't expect you to think back to all these previous episodes that I've done, but way back when, I think it was, yesterday's episode, we did a whole segment on how Edmundo Sosa, coming back off the injured list, is a sneaky big thing for the Phillies because he's always ready to play. He adds depth to that infield. He's a gamer. He does pretty much everything well. He's versatile in the ways that he can be used. And I told you, this is something that should not be overlooked. Edmundo Sosa was Harrison Bader before Harrison Bader came to the Phillies. That was the way that I described it yesterday. Now, as I'm patting myself on the back, yes, my shoulder's sore from reaching back there and patting myself, but I did not expect him to go yard. I did not expect him to hit 2. I certainly did not expect him to hit 3, right? I can't even give myself credit for that because nobody believed that that was a thing. And Edmundo Sosa doing that the first day off the injured list just shows you how this guy is. He's always ready. You never have to tell Edmundo, yo, we got a big game today, wake up. Or we have a game today, wake up. Or someone's going to throw a baseball in your general direction. He's always ready. And that's the beautiful thing about him as a depth player on this team. So it couldn't happen to a better guy, right? He is just such an awesome teammate. He is an awesome player to root for. He is a great defender. He is valuable at the plate. He puts together tough at-bats. In the biggest moments, there are very few guys on this team that I would want up there more than Edmundo Sosa, which is crazy to say because he's not an everyday player, but he just seems to be one of those dudes. He just gets it, man. He just understands what playing the game is all about, what getting the opportunity is all about. And something really cool was his post-game interview where he was obviously just very thankful for the opportunity, excited that he was able to help the team, said, yo, we're coming for the World Series, basically, is what he said. And at this point in the season, that's totally fair for someone to say. He didn't say it like we're the best team out here, but he's like, obviously we want to win the World Series was part of his sentiment. But the humility he showed when he was told by Tom McCarthy and John Kruk in the postgame interview that he's the first Philly in franchise history to play shortstop and hit 3 home runs in a game. Jimmy Rollins didn't do it. No. Yeah, hard to believe, right? With the MVP award that he won back in the day and everything that he did. No Phillies shortstop has ever accomplished that feat. And Edmundo Sosa did it on a random late September rainy night at Citizens Bank Park. That's special, man. And we've seen a lot of special nights from this team this year. But that was another one, and it may be the cherry on top of the regular season. Not just Sosa, but 8 home runs in a game, a franchise record for this team that's been around 143 years. It was a special night. And that's the way you want to lock up the first round bye. Bryce Harper said it when they were celebrating the NL East title. They could have won it a day before if the Mets had lost the game. But they are more happy to do it winning. And I'm sure they're more happy to get the bye winning the way that they did last night. So for everyone who was worried about this team because they lost a couple games, they're still very, very good at baseball. But now the games don't seem to matter all that much. How do you prioritize a record versus the team goal? There's an example recently in Philadelphia sports where I think a team did the right thing. But is this the same as maybe sitting Saquon Barkley with a rushing record on the line? We'll discuss it as we continue today's episode of Locked On Phillies. And let's talk a little bit about our friends over at FanDuel first. The NFL season's here, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Big-time Thursday night game tonight. You've got Seattle. You've got Arizona, an NFC West showdown. There are sure to be some bets that are really safe odds, plus 1,000, plus 2,500. Find the easiest bet and throw that $5 bet on that, because even though the payout's not great, if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets if you're a new customer, right? So that's what you want to do. And then you take that $300 when you win on the easiest bet in the world tonight, and you use it for your Sunday games or Saturday college football or the baseball playoffs or hockey starting or basketball starting. There's so many ways to win on FanDuel. Props, parlays, futures, money line, spread, everything. They've got it. And payouts are fast, safe, and easy. So are you ready to play? I don't know why you wouldn't be. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. So this is where it gets a little tricky, right? Now you've basically gotten to the place where the games don't really matter all that much. We know that the 1 seed is still technically in play. In order to get the 1 seed, the Brewers would have to lose out. The Phillies would have to win out. That's not far-fetched. Well, it is a little bit, but it's not impossible, I should say. So do you chase that glimmer of hope that maybe you could be the 1 seed? Or do you take a cautious approach and get guys rest that they need and try and mitigate the potential risks that you have over 4 more baseball games before you play the big ones? In most players' cases, it seems to be pretty simple. JT Realmuto got hit on the hand in game 1 against the Marlins on Tuesday night. He was out last night. Makes total sense, right? Do not risk it. Do not take the chance that anything could go wrong where you lose guys that important to the team. But does that continue to be the prevailing thought when you have a guy on the verge of history? Kyle Schwarber, as I told you, hit home runs 55 and 56 last night. If he hits 2 more, he will tie Ryan Howard for the most home runs in a single season in Phillies franchise history. He is an impending free agent. Every home run he hits puts more money in his pocket. He is in an MVP race. And even though we all know that Shohei Ohtani is going to get the award, right? He's still going to want to give it his best run. Now, what I will say, if you've listened to me at all outside of the podcast, and you've heard me talk about the Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, you would have heard me say last year, as the Eagles were preparing for a final game of their regular season that did not matter, very similar to the situation the Phillies are in now. Running back Saquon Barkley was potentially looking at the all-time single-season rushing record. He would have had to have a big day, but he was having a lot of big days last year. And the Eagles decided, with a Super Bowl run in the near future, he was not going to play. They had a conversation with him. They sat him down. They said, dude, team goal over individual goal. Now, you know what happened? The Eagles ended up winning the World Series, and Saquon Barkley set the all-time record for regular season and postseason rushing yards combined. So it worked out very well that they made this smart team option. Was it karma? Maybe, because I think they did the right thing. And it clearly played out for the best for both parties. Kyle Schwarber, then, my argument should be, it'd be nice for him to tie Ryan Howard, but let's focus on the postseason, and let's roll in healthy, and let's prioritize team success over individual accomplishments. But there's one main difference. I don't know the last time you checked, but when I was looking around, I didn't see any 250-pound linebackers running at the speed of light trying to take Kyle Schwarber's head off, right? It's a different game. And Kyle Schwarber, he's a designated hitter. So there's a lot less risk involved with allowing him to play. Now, to spoil the surprise for you, Rob Thompson has already said, we're going to let him go after the record. I'm going to play him, and he can go chase that down if he'd like. But there are certain things. I have no issue with that, by the way. In fact, I'm going to go against my Saquon point from last year. This is the right call. Let him go after it. Let him continue to slug for the fences and for the record books. He became, earlier this week, the best hitter lefty on lefty home run wise in the history of the game. His 24 home runs this year, left on left, past Stan Musial and who else was on that list? Matt Olson, I believe, was the other guy tied up at the top. And now it's Kyle Schwarber alone. That record stood since 1949 was when Musial did that and hit 23. So, he's already got his name in the history books a lot of ways. It's a historic season for Schwarber. And I don't want you to be overly cautious when it's not necessary to take that away from him. Knock on wood, DH isn't a lot of wear and tear. Now, here are the Kyle Schwarber rules going forward as I see it. You get your at-bats. You DH. There is no random Kyle Schwarber in left field, and we've only seen that a couple of times this year. But no, it's just DH. No excuses, no exceptions. If you hit the ball on the ground, if you do more than a jog, you are yanked out of the game. I'm sorry. I know, hustle it out. Respect for the game. No. Respect for the Phillies World Series chances. If Kyle Schwarber hits the ball on the ground, walk to first. I don't care. Walk to the dugout. I do not care. If you hit a ball in the gap, it's a single. Sorry, bro. No legging stuff out. If you hit a ball in the air and it's not going to go out of the yard, don't care. Walk to the dugout. Walk to first base. Do whatever you want to do. Whatever you do. No sprinting. No sliding. No nothing. You are up there for one reason only, to try and hit the ball out of the yard. If there is a pitch that is remotely inside, do everything in your power to get out of the way of that. Getting hit by a pitch, not ideal. Kyle Schwarber needs to go up there in JT Realmuto's catcher's gear. You want a shin guard? Great. You want a knee guard? Great. You want an elbow guard? Great. You want a shoulder guard? Great. You want to wear an old medieval knight's helmet over your face? Great. Take all the risk of injury out of it. If you're going to go out there and play, you got to promise you are not going to do anything stupid, right? Because I'd love to see him tie this record. I'd love to see him break this record. I'm going to the game Saturday where the Phillies are taking on the Twins with my family who are Twins fans. And I thought it was just going to be a, whatever, fun day at the ballpark. This game means nothing. Now, I could be seeing Kyle Schwarber's 58th home run. There's still stuff to watch with Schwarber still in the lineup. And that's a fun thing for Phillies fans. But don't lose sight of the goal, okay? This is we're letting you do this. Don't make us regret it. And if something freak injury-wise happens, I'm not going to blame Kyle Schwarber, right? And I've already told you, I think this is fine to do. So I'm not going to blame Rob Thompson. We're knocking on wood, by the way, for that. This is, I think, a fair chance to take to give him a shot at something special. I have no issue with it. Oh, and one other thing. I tweeted this out last night when Kyle Schwarber hit his second home run, but I will read you this tweet again because a lot of people seem to like it on social media. It's been getting some traction. Do not let Kyle Schwarber go on vacation. Do not let him Google airline tickets. Hell, don't even let him step foot in New Jersey. That man is not allowed to leave the city of Philadelphia until the Phillies pay him. Just chain him to the foul pole at Citizens Bank Park or whatever you got to do. Like I don't care. Don't let him out of your sight. The fact that it's gotten this far, I get it, because negotiations early in the season are tough. And then he does all this, and now obviously his value is infinitely more than what it was when the Phillies first gave him an offer in spring training. But if they somehow let him walk, I may never forgive the Phillies. And if they even do not allow anything to happen that could lead to that man being in a different jersey next year. Drastic measures. That's fine. Obviously, this is tongue in cheek. He can make his decision, but it's on the Phillies to make sure that does not happen. So that's all on Kyle Schwarber. Now, we have another baseball game to be played. Are there still things that you can learn even now that the first round bye is locked up? Absolutely there are. Bullpen, starter, depth pieces, guys that haven't played a lot recently, maybe because of injuries, maybe because of rotations and stuff like that, and platoons. There's certainly reasons to still be zoned in on what the Philadelphia Phillies are doing as they head into their final 4 games of the year. We'll talk about what those reasons are as we continue today's episode. Let me tell you about Rugiet first, though, because, guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rugiet Go Long comes in when you've tried that other stuff and maybe you're not getting the results you want, or you need just a little bit more juice, right? This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula, so you can get hard and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is super simple. You connect with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. If prescribed, that's exactly the way you want to get it, right? You don't want to have to go somewhere to pick it up. You want it to come right to you. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rugiet, that's RUGIET.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your order. That's Rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and make sure to use our code so that they know we sent you. By the way, postseason right around the corner. If you haven't subscribed to Locked On Phillies on YouTube, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. It's free and easy to subscribe. It'll get you notifications when new episodes are posted. If you haven't watched yet and you just listen in podcast form, check out the YouTube sometime. It really helps us out when people subscribe. But if you're just a podcast listener, or maybe if you want to go into just listening and you've been watching on YouTube, either way, rate and review when you're checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. We're available. So I appreciate everyone supporting Locked On Phillies and being along for the Phillies ride and watching and chiming in every day, commenting on the YouTube. I appreciate y'all more than you know. But we've got more work to take care of before we can sit back and say, what a season it was. No, we're still at war here, folks. The war is not won. Battles have been won, but the Phillies need to continue to learn about themselves as we head closer and closer and closer to October. The picture's getting clearer, but there are still question marks. So tonight, when Walker Buehler takes the mound against Jansen Junk in the final game of this series, the Phillies' final divisional game of the regular season, it'll be something to keep an eye on. Buehler's role is still uncertain with the Phillies. Now, reporting from insiders like Matt Gelb of The Athletic, it doesn't sound like the Phillies are interested in using Walker Buehler as a starter in the postseason. That makes sense because he has versatility, right? He's thrown out of the bullpen when he was with the Dodgers. He closed out the World Series last year. So you want that guy available in multiple different spots. My rebuttal to that would be, why is he starting tonight then? I don't think they've totally closed the door on Walker Buehler starting, but I don't think it's likely. So we get a look tonight, and I think what this is a how long is he good for type of experiment. How long can you let him go? Can you get him through 3 comfortably, 4 comfortably, 5 or 6 comfortably? What's his leash going to be? I think that's what they're trying to figure out tonight. And also, last time he pitched was in a piggyback with Taijuan Walker. Will we see Walker out of the pen after like the 3rd or 4th inning? And will that become the true strategy? How does Aaron Nola factor into all of this? There's a lot that still needs to be figured out. And we've talked about that in depth. But if Buehler goes out and shoves tonight, the way that Sanchez did on Tuesday, the way that Luzardo did last night, well, what are you supposed to say to the guy? You can't start in the postseason? I mean, maybe you got to consider it then. And that's a pretty darn good place to be. You'd much rather have to tell guys no than to tell a guy who's not ready yes. So Walker Buehler will be a major point of focus in tonight's game. His numbers this year are not terrible, right? Everyone treats him like, oh, this guy stinks. Why is he on the team? He's 9-7 with a 5.13 ERA, and he's got 90 strikeouts and 121 innings pitched. He just really hasn't had the strikeout stuff this year. He's given up 22 home runs, so the long ball has killed him. 58 walks shows you the command hasn't been ideal. Like, when you look at the numbers individually, it's like, okay, I understand why he was available for the Phillies to go out and get, but it's not like he's Jordan Romano with an 8+ ERA. He's a guy that still is capable of giving you a good outing here and there, and maybe coming to Philadelphia and having the team say, hey, you're a piece that we really want to use to help us try and get to a World Series, motivates him to the point where he says, okay, I'm ready to rock. You've got this newfound focus. Not that the Red Sox are a bad team, but like the Phillies have the 2nd best record in all of baseball, and they've had postseason success recently where the Red Sox have not in the past couple of years. So Walker Buehler will be a big focal point of tonight's game. And then the Phil's offense depth-wise is what I want to look at. Weston Wilson, Otto Kemp, they're fighting for a roster spot, right? They're trying to figure out how this is going to shake out. And you really only need one righty bench bat, especially with Edmundo Sosa back. And the night you had last night, you see why he's 100% going to be on the postseason roster. But which one of those guys seems to fit best what they're doing? Nick Castellanos batted cleanup last night. It wasn't the best night for him. But still, if he gets another opportunity, he's fighting for playing time. How does the outfield shake out? Because they will make some changes game to game in the postseason. I can guarantee you that. It will not just be the same 9 guys every single time. And the place where that will change the most is the outfield. It's the final time to get some crumbs of evidence as to who is going to be performing their best in October, right? So you're not really watching for Schwarber, even though we are, to see if he reaches Ryan Howard's mark from 2007. You're not really watching for Bryce Harper if he comes back. He said he was feeling better yesterday, was not at the game, maybe plays today. I'd be shocked if he does, considering the Phillies don't really need these games. He'll probably get like a game in against the Twins, game or two, and then his season will be done, or his regular season, I should say, because of course we got more to accomplish. But you're watching for those fringe pieces to see who fits best where and who shows a flash of, oh, okay, this guy's useful in October. You've already got 58 games worth of evidence. This will be game 159 tonight, 6:05, a little earlier game than what we've seen the past couple of nights. But that's where the intrigue comes in. For the true seam heads out there that are diving into the roster decisions, it's still intriguing to watch the Phillies play for the final 4 games. But that's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow, we will take a deeper dive. I'd imagine in some way you'd be looking at the 1 seed being off the table in the next day or so. So we'll start to take a look at seeding the rest of the way and everything, who's where as far as the standings are concerned. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you. So the Dodgers knocked off the Diamondbacks last night. The Reds lost to the Pirates. The Mets lost to the Cubs. But because those teams were already trailing, the Mets are a game up on both the Reds and the Diamondbacks for the final wild card spot. They would be in the series where the winner plays the Phillies. So that's your little update there. And we will continue to keep a close eye on that as other teams fight for their lives. And the Phillies kick their feet up and do whatever they want because they're a top 2 seed in the National League, a top 2 record in baseball. All right. Well, once again, we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please make sure you're rating, reviewing, subscribing to the YouTube, all that great stuff I mentioned earlier. And I will talk to you tomorrow on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.